Hi, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Hope from Grief here on our YouTube channel. We're an open book. My name is Chris McMurray.
And I'm Gene.
He's my husband.
Hope from Grief came about because one of the major subjects of our book, Live, Laugh, Fly, are the signs that we received from our son Scott after he passed, to show us he was still with us.
When we told our story here on YouTube, we began to realize that there had to be many stories like ours out there. So we reached out on social media asking others to share their stories with our audience. Thank you to everyone who's trusted us to share your personal experiences. Sharing the signs that you've received from loved ones is giving hope and comfort to others who may be struggling in their grief.
And we would like to reach as many people as possible. So if you believe in what we are doing here, or heard something that has helped you on your own path, we would really appreciate it if you would subscribe and like our channel. Now, let's get to today's story.
That's right. It's from Kristy from Maryland, and it's about her son, Will.
And as always, we read every letter exactly how we receive them, completely verbatim, because it's your story about your loved one. And after the reading, we'll come back and discuss what Chris read. Are you ready?
I am, and this one is titled A Mother's Day Gift from Will. On April 11th, 2020, the worst thing that could ever happen to a family happened to us. Our 12-year-old son, William, who had been battling glioblastoma, a terminal form of brain cancer, for 16 months, passed away. There is so much I have to say about Will. His spirit, his courage, nearly everything about him is exceptional. And he completed me. He completed our family. Life will never be as good and joyful as it was when Will was physically on earth, in our home with us. His life on earth, though, is another beautiful story. His life after his time on earth is what I'm writing about now. And when it was that I accepted that maybe his spirit or energy is still reaching me, reaching my husband, reaching his sister, and maybe even a wider circle. I admit I had never been a believer in signs, omens, karma, or other stuff that we can't understand. Perhaps it's the scientist in me, the skeptic, or whatever. But it was, and sometimes still is, hard to have faith in something I can't see. All of that said, I had been working with several grief therapists after Will died, and they all sort of suggested to look for signs from Will. I guess I was so low at that point that I had nothing to lose, so I opened up to the idea. I tried to ask Will for some type of sign, lots of times when I was paddleboarding, or sometimes when I was just really at a low point. Most of the time, I feel like if I thought about it, it could be a sign, so I sort of acknowledged the possibility, probably to make myself feel better, if I have to be honest. Then, on the Thursday before Mother's Day 2020, just about a month after Will died, I had a session with the shaman that we went to for Will. Like I said, I had never been a believer in that kind of thing, but when Will was diagnosed, we decided to try everything we could, everything Western medicine had in its arsenal, and anything that even had the most remote possibility of helping. So it ended up that the shaman we went to was completely wonderful, and I began to get a sense that she might actually be able to go to places that I could not to. Whether that was in her mind or another space entirely, I'm not sure. But I began to believe she could sense some things that I couldn't. Anyway, on this particular visit, before my first Mother's Day without Will, the first thing she said to me is, "Can you feel Will?" I was honest and said I wish I could, but I just couldn't. Then she journeyed for me, as she had often done for Will, and provided her very in-depth discussion and full transcription of what she experienced in the journey, as she always did. As I was getting up to leave, she asked me if I knew what Will was getting me for Mother's Day. I said no. She said very matter of fact that he had said he would probably get me some earrings. I kind of laughed and just tucked it away in the back of my mind, thinking, how in the world would he get me earrings? Fast forward to the morning of Mother's Day, 3 days after the session, and I'm getting out of the shower. A bag from our closet shelf had fallen on the floor, and I knew the bag contained our daughter's first loose tooth and a few other special items of hers. So I went to pick it up off the floor, and as I did, a box fell out of it. It was a small velvet box. I opened the box, and there was a pair of earrings our daughter had made for me that she probably meant to give me, or maybe she had a long time ago and I just stuffed them in this special bag. There they were, lying on the floor of the closet, purple and gold earrings that I had never seen. I thought immediately of Will and our shaman. I know with complete certainty that this discovery was somehow orchestrated by Will. I don't know how, but I do know it's way too precise to be a coincidence. Since then, there have been many other signs, one even more precise and magnificent than the earrings. But I'm telling the earring story because that really marks the time when I thought, okay, maybe this is possible, and maybe I just need to be open to this. I miss Will every day, and I will remain incomplete until I see him again, however that happens. I want Will here, not in the form of signs, but I have opened up to the idea of them, and I do believe that there are some things we are just not meant to understand while on earth. I take some comfort, not nearly enough, but some, in knowing that Will's spirit can reach us even after his body has left our home.
Wow, thank you, Kristy, for your beautiful words and amazing story about your son, Will. You know, I could relate to your skepticism. Chris, even with you, you would tell me something about a sign from Scott, and I would think to myself, well, I'm not so sure about that.
I know, but then you started to see them.
Yeah, the Cadillac Escalade.
Mm-hmm.
That is when I started to believe, but that's a story for another time.
Yeah, and I'm glad her grief counselor suggested she look for signs. I know for me, every time I would see a sign, it would help to lessen my pain.
And our grief counselor encouraged that as well.
Absolutely.
Now, Kristy made a great point in saying that these signs are not a replacement for Will. Of course, she would much rather have him here with her and her family.
Absolutely true. But unfortunately, this is where we are. While our loved ones are in another place, these signs strengthen our faith that our loved ones are near.
Let's talk about how Kristy's experience came about.
Yes. She visited a shaman, and by doing so, it seems she let go just a bit of her skepticism, and that we spoke about earlier.
The shaman even asked her during the session if she felt well.
And as much as she wanted to say yes, in her heart of hearts, she didn't.
That's one thing I love about all of these stories, is that they're just so honest.
Yeah.
Back to the shaman. She did tell Kristy about a pair of earrings she would be receiving for Mother's Day. That was only a couple of days later.
I know. And Kristy had her doubts about this.
So on Mother's Day morning, she's getting ready for the day when she noticed a bag had fallen on the closet floor. The bag contained childhood mementos of her daughter.
That's right, but a red velvet box came out of the bag that she had no recollection of.
And what was in the box?
The earrings, of course, and I think that's Will saying, Happy Mother's Day, Mom. And Kristy's daughter made the earrings, but Will made sure she found them, and I'm so happy she did.
I think Kristy's story is more than about the sign she received, but also her eventual understanding that Will was still with her, and that is a real gift.
Absolutely. Seeing the signs, it helps her feel less alone.
So much so that she found a way to spread her message.
Kristy has put together a book of letters written by bereaved parents to try and provide some hope for other bereaved parents. It's called Let Me Sow Love, and you can read all the letters at www.loveletterproject.org.
And if you'd like, you can also order a print copy for $6. And the $6 only covers the cost of publication. It's a completely nonprofit venture.
Yeah.
Students also did the illustrations, which is really cool.
It is. And thank you, Kristy, for helping others, because this is what this program and our message is all about.
Hey, Chris, tell everybody about our book.
That's right. Live, Laugh, Fly is available on Amazon, and 100% of proceeds will benefit children's cancer programs.
A link to Kristy's site and where to buy our book will be in the show notes. And if you have a comment or like to tell us a story of a sign you received, please email us at rememberloveneverdies@gmail.com.
We also have a Facebook page called We're an Open Book, and you can leave a message or a comment there.
or just leave us a message below in the comment section.
That's right.
One more time, thank you, Kristy, for sending us that story. And we'll leave all the pertinent information for everything in our show notes. So I guess that's a wrap for this show.
It sure is.
Any final thoughts?
Well, of course,
Just
just one. Remember, love never dies.
Bye, everyone. See you next time.
Thank you. Bye.